Thanks for coming. We're looking at account best practices in QuickBooks Online. We're going to look at some recent numbers as of the end of Q3. It's good to see the numbers for Q3 FY18 just to show how many subs we have on QuickBooks Online. Subs meaning subscription. And then, desktop we're at still at 3.5 million users. But we're getting there with QBO, right? So, and we're going to be in QuickBooks Online Accountant for a while. I did drop Pro Advisor and the Apps tab, though, from the presentation because I wanted to add some more stuff, like some key settings that actually one of you just asked me earlier before we started about how do you pre-fill when you put in a vendor name on a check, how does it bring over the account, that kind of stuff. So when we get to that accountant tool section, let's look at some key settings I think are important. Now, we do the Beyond the Basics series, which is for, there's 2 other webinar series you can come to if you haven't already, Beyond the Basics for product-based, Beyond the Basics for service-based clients, which will dive deeper into these advanced settings that we don't cover today because there's just so much to cover. But I agree that I think you get Pro Advisor, right? And a lot of you might not be doing third-party integration, so I don't want to waste 5 or 7 minutes. I need that back. And then we'll go through some bank feeds and automation, mobile app and PTO integration, right? So we might go a little bit over, but this should do it, right? Now, quickly on the slides, as of end of Q3, so we go August to July, so the end of quarter 3, FY18, QuickBooks Online subscription growth grew 41% with over 3.2 million subscriptions globally, but 2.5 million are in the U.S., right? And then again, 3.5 million desktop users. So, we're getting there, where it's almost 50-50. And we grew 2.2 million subscriptions in 3 years. Right? So back in 2015, we only hit like 1 million or something. So I think that's important to know. Why? Because you're going to want to be competent in QBO to sustain being viable for clients to come to you that want to be mobile. Right? You'll have your desktop base. I think it's great. I really don't have a dog in the fight. Well, except for file transfer, which I find really annoying. So I like QBO for the collaboration. I'd rather not get backups, portables. The accountant's copy file is somewhat laughable still to me, but it's effective. It's still a viable way to send stuff back to the client's Pro or Premier. But still, I like the ability to sign in and out, okay, and in the collaboration with the team, which we're going to go over in a bit, and your client. So, to me, I think that's a benefit of QBO. That being said, desktop's a super viable platform, and it's going to have its place for years and years to come. So, anyway. Self-employed is probably one you don't have a lot of, but you can add it from QBOA, and that's just really a bank feed or credit card fee. There's not a whole lot of transactional activity or reporting. It's really for a self-employed business that doesn't need transactions. Now, there's not a chart of accounts. It's literally the Schedule C categories. So keep that in mind. You're not doing a journal entry in self-employed. You're not writing a check, okay? You're just downloading stuff. But it does track mileage, which QBO doesn't do yet. Hoping for that, and it does estimated tax payments. So you'll have some clients that are just self-employed and they don't need QBO. Self-employed is like $5 a month or something under wholesale, or was it $60 a year or something like that? So really cheap, and it's easier for you to access, and there's still like a P&L and a couple tax reports. So benefits of the clouds, if you don't know, you probably already know. A lot of this stuff is obvious, but just to align, and then we'll move into product. QuickBooks Online is device agnostic, meaning you can be on a Mac, it can be on a PC, a desktop computer, a laptop, even a Surface, even a phone if I go in natively to a browser. Though there is an app you can download on the iPad and the phone, it just doesn't have the same feature set as going into the browser, as you probably already know. But for me, it's about no transfer of data files, no versioning. Hey, my client's on 16 Pro. Can I use 18 to open their file? Sure, but if you're sending anything back, then no, right? So things like that, right? Less headaches like that. And there's no IT infrastructure. And when it says automatic backup on this screen, that doesn't mean that the typical backup restore we're used to, right? It's just like redundancy checks. There is a good third party. Let me put that before I forget. Chronobooks.com. You might have heard of them. They do a true backup restore. All right, the guy's name's Nate. He does the chat or he emails you. He's super approachable and receptive, and he's the only one that his app can back up a QBO sub and restore it into a brand new one. That's pretty sweet because the other one's only just restoring it back into itself. but I just love that piece, So Chronobooks is great for that kind of stuff, but that's true backup restore, right? But feel free to take the slide. I mean, it's got a lot of stuff and a lot of points as well. Why would I want to go cloud and why am I going QBO? Because that's our answer for cloud, QBO and QBOA. And the other thing I think, other than file transfer, so number 2 for me is the why, the QuickBooks Online, mobility. Right, your clients have what things in common? They got a phone and they got a checking account / credit card, right? And I can even do that on the phone. So they can download the app as long as they have a login to QBO. So I'm looking forward to when we put more features into the QuickBooks app that's on the phone, because right now for other stuff I still have to log in through the browser and it's just not really optimized for that. Whereas a Surface or an iPad is a little better. But still, mobility on the rise. So do look at this, at your leisure. Okay, enough slides, right? So I'm in QuickBooks Online Accountant, and hopefully this is your view too. If you don't know what this looks like and you're going as your clients, then I do encourage you to sign up for QuickBooks Online Accountant. It is free for the firm, right? And your team access is free for the firm. The Pro Advisor membership and the certification that we're not even going to look at, but that's also free. There's no real cost for the firm unless you're going to, when you're adding a client, and let's just look at that now, you click the Add Client tab, and we'll go into the team in a sec because I can make it so I'm the only one that can do this and no one else can, right? So there is some staff restriction. We'll go over that. But we might as well go here. The wholesale billing, right? 50% off for life of the sub. But when you're creating these subscriptions, or the client can pay, or no subscription now. So you have this, and you can choose between Plus, Essentials, and Self-Employed. Right. So you can kind of control the subscription as you're going and as you're creating these. And you want to do this. You don't need your client to go to QuickBooks.intuit.com to sign up or QuickBooks.com to sign up. But if they do, they can invite you as an accounting firm. Right. But I just like when you're starting, this is why I came in here for a second. And you'll realize my short-term memory is just brutal as I get older. But the reason why I even came in here was because I was talking about the wholesale billing. You can actually get this. I mean, this is the only time the firm would actually pay for something QBO related is if you're going to take on the subscriptions for the client. Because you might be part of that firm of the future mold where you're moving to like a value-based billing model. So you're rolling in your service fees, like, Woody, I'm going to charge you $300 to $350 a month. We're going to do this, this, and this for you. Oh, yeah, and you're going to be using QBO Essentials. And I'm going to roll it in. You know what I mean? So that's what, if you go to firmofthefuture.com, there's a lot of testimonies about that from other firms that are doing this. So they are taking on the billing for the client on behalf of the client, even for the third-party app or even for payroll. And then, you're just rolling it into the fee to me, right? Oh, yeah, good question. Someone always asks. Thanks, Mary Jo. No subscription right now. I use this for either desktop clients because I don't ping to desktop, right? But I could, if I'm using the Your Books file to bill clients, then I want them in the list. Because the Your Books file is a free QBO Plus file we give the firm, right? Now, you might not be using it. I'll show you where to go to turn it off from your staff, because the last thing you want is someone using it as a practice playground and importing rock castle construction and jacking up your client list, right? Because the customer list in the Your Books file is a mirror image of the Your Practice clients, right? So the firm books that we give you called Your Books, I'm sure you've seen the left-hand panel, do hide it from others and only use it when you're really going to use it for real. We give you a sample file under the gear icon. But to go back to what Mary Jo asked about no subscription right now, that would be for that scenario. Or you might just not know if your client truly needs Essentials versus Plus, right? So but you want to get it on the list to start billing them or whatever, and then when you meet them next month, you'll just go ahead and there's a plus sign to just add Plus or Essentials or whatever. But other than that, you're mostly going to be dancing between wholesale billing, or maybe I have a lot of friends that don't do the wholesale, that they just don't want to get involved, so it's all direct bill. But the promo is just good for the first year, right? And then this is where I can check off Ryan or Leah or Ray or something, because they'll see this client too, which is a good segue. I used to start with team, but I like this better almost. Just change it on the fly. We'll come back to the dashboard. I mean, the dashboard's obvious. We're going to surface up data. You're going to access clients from there. Okay, got it. But the team page, I think, is cool. Collaborating with a team, not just with the client. Because for the firm, let's say Mary Jo as an example, she, will have one QBOA for the location. They got 30, 40 clients and, 3, 4 staff. I don't know. I'm just I'm making that part up. I don't know Mary Jo. I'm just using an example. All right. So just, I don't know how big the firm is or anything like that. Just using an example. Okay. Hypothetical. So I'm going to invite my staff. Like, I started the QBOA on my own with a generic email. You could use your own email. I think the larger the firm, it's still viable to use a generic email if you have a lot of attrition, meaning like, oh, yeah, Woody started the QBOA, but now he's left to do something else. So now I got to transfer the master admin, and, oh, he left before doing that, and it's just that kind of stuff. Like, I started the QBOA with a generic Gmail that no one actually uses, and then I invited myself, as a full access user. It's not a bad way. I think the larger the firm, but don't worry. If you didn't do it that way and you started with your own email, don't worry about it. Do not try to fix something that's not broken at all. If it's already working for you, there are firms that have multiple QBOAs because they're longtime pro advisors, or they got 3 or 4 QBOAs. You don't have to consolidate them. If it's still working for you and you get it and your staff gets it and you understand, but the point that I'm trying to make is I would rather you just using QBOA because it's a firm platform. I don't really care how many QBOAs you have. If you want to consolidate the realms one day, you can. But if you understand what you're doing and it's working for you, then keep going. But you want to access a client file from QBOA, okay? Now, back to my point of this Your Books file, right? Because I'm the master admin, or I'm a full user, and I can see like everything, right? Team, apps, work, all that stuff. The firm file, I can add team members. I can go into add client like we looked at. But Ray is a very basic user. I don't mean she's basic in QBO. She gets it, and she does most of the reconciliations and bank feeds for a variety of clients we have. However, I don't want her to do anything administratively. So notice Ray accesses the QBOA with her own unique email. She's not going to use mine, and I'm not going to have her go in as the client. I don't want the client to invite her as some company admin or something. She's going to go in through QBOA. And team members of a QBOA itself, they don't count against the active user list in QuickBooks Online. So I can have as many people in as I want. Multi-user doesn't matter. Simultaneous use doesn't matter. So I set her up as basic access, right? And she can't do anything when she gets in. Like, this is her view. She's in Firefox. And by the way, I like Chrome and Firefox for things QuickBooks Online. If you like Safari, cool. If you're on a Mac, even better. But Chrome on the Mac is actually super fast. So if you have a MacBook, you're lucky. But I try to tend to stay away from Internet Explorer, just in general. But if you're using Internet Explorer, because that's what the firm policy is until Microsoft figures all that out, because I think they're even killing it too, right? Aren't they coming up with Edge or something? Anyway, use IE 11 with QBO. But Ray's in his Firefox. So if you remember what I had, look, she only sees clients, Pro Advisor, and work. Why Pro Advisor? Because I want her to get trained and have some benefits that are specific to her. Right? This doesn't cost me anything, but I want her to be more adept. And she has access to 9 of our clients because I check off what clients I want my staff to see. I'm the only one that can see them all unless I check them off for everybody. I think Valerie and Leah have access to all, but Ray only has access to 9. In work, we'll get into that. That's kind of like task management and file share. Okay? And she has no add client. She has no Your Book. So you can be really specific in what Ray can do if she's working for you. So, and then client access, right? You've already done this, so I don't want to waste your guys' time. But you're just checking off the clients you want your staff to see on the list. You can do this when you create the sub, as I showed, and then in an ongoing way. But I wish you could do it in more of a batch way. But anyway, so good stuff. So that's team, right? Everybody's coming in with their own unique email, and then take it with a grain of salt. My idea on the generic. Actually, it wasn't my idea. It's Ryan Kelly's. Okay, back to the dashboard, right? But a lot of large firms do that, right? Generic email, set up QBOA. Then doesn't matter who leaves the firm. Okay, so I have a lot of clients, and we are going to surface up data. Now, you might not see bookkeeping info because we in your QBOA, we're slowly rolling and moving that to the work tab, which is really engagement tracking and file share. So we'll get to that next, and then we'll dive into a client file. But, the status column, you mouse over it, it gives you the level of QBO, whether it's canceled or not. That's always good to know. So you don't actually, because sometimes I'll go into these files and I'll see that the subscription canceled. But I can see who's the last person who signed in, what level of QBO is it, and I usually click on the meatball, the QBO meatball, just to actually get into the file. But you can also go in the drop-down. Up to you, right? Up to you. Whatever is fastest for you. Unaccepted transactions, we're going to be looking at that because those are transactions in the For Review tab of the bank or credit card feed. They have not yet been added to the register, either added or matched to something in there. Those are the two kind of actions for bank feed. You're either adding something to the register that was never there before, or you're matching it to something that either came in from the phone app, which hopefully we can show you today, or from a third party or something like that. So you have unaccepted transactions. That means they just haven't been in the register yet. Last download, payroll. So we're going to surface up some data about that. And I usually typically look for 100 or more, and then I prioritize. It's still a great prioritization window, so I like that. Or if I see changes to closed books or checks without payee, the kind of the pebble in the shoe stuff versus the more annoying, mistakes that will happen that you want to go into the file and do some work. So that's the dashboard. Oh, by the way, I do get asked this now and again. Let's say a client's leaving you, right? Click on their name. There's a couple options. The master admin can now, because when you click on a client name, you're not actually in their file, right? But I can see like bookkeeping info, like balances, payroll, shared documents, right? We'll go over the shared doc soon. And you can always click anything blue, it brings you into their file, right? So there's that. You can even have notes, which is pretty cool, that only you see, your client won't see them. By the way, your client never sees anything QBOA related, right? So everything that you're doing with your staff, they'll never see. Okay, because they're just going into the books file, not QBOA. But over here in the arrow, the master admin, and this is fairly recent, the master admin gets to delete something permanently. Yes, Mary Jo asked, because it's relatable. Let me go right to it, and then we'll come back to this delete permanently. But it's a sweet feature, but only for the master admin of QBOA, right? Different from just making it inactive. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I know I get questions all the time. How do I get rid of a client? Now, the delete permanently does not impact billing at all, and it won't let you delete the client permanently if it's under wholesale. You got to remove them from wholesale, from that your icon, your account, QBOA, and then you can come back and delete permanently. You'll get a pop-up for that, but I want to make sure you knew that this is possible. Now, question, will team members see notes? Yes, but only when? If they're checked off for that client. It's very similar in the, I mean, it's obvious, right? So like if Leah doesn't have access to this general product store, she wouldn't see any notes, and she wouldn't even see them in the work page or any engagements or file share requests for them, right? But yeah, there's no way to like keep Leah, Mary Jo, from seeing notes on a client and give her access to, which is also something I forgot to mention. When Leah is checked off for a client, let's say she is checked off to general product store, she is like a company admin on this file. Like I can't further restrict her from what she can do within the client file. I either check her off or not. She's either a company admin or not, right? So that's important to know. Right? So that's why Ray has like 9 clients and I have 76, because I don't have Ray do anything with payroll. She's not there yet, so I just have her work on the clients that have no payroll, and that's 9 of our clients, right? So not that I'm, I want to do more of the full service payroll, let Intuit handle it. Anyway, we could talk about that another day. So good stuff, shared documents. Let's go into the work tab. And we will be diving into a client file next, but I want to tie this one off. If you're already using engagement tracking software, that's great. I don't think this is really meant to replace it. Yes, and delete permanently. That's a question. Is it just from QBOA or from our eyes? It removes the accounting firm connection to the file. So literally, if your client was going to go to, gear icon, I'm in the file as a client, right? See, there's no accountant toolbox. There's no QB account in the upper left, so I'm in as a client, right? If I go to manage users, what delete permanently does is because sometimes your client leaves or goes somewhere else for whatever reason, or they cancel the subscription, and no one's going to go back in there to remove you from the file. So then it's kind of stuck inactive for a while. So this would basically remove me, right? If I delete permanently and go into that file, this user, new QBOA would be gone. But it doesn't impact billing. It's important. Just deleting it permanently doesn't actually cancel the subscription or the credit card or something like that. If your client's paying for that, they're still going to get paid monthly until they actually go and cancel it. It just removes you, removes the firm access. It's a good question. That's important to know. Because this is our access. We're in the accountant frame. We're not in here There's no reason for you to ever be in the user section. You don't have to be a master admin of the file. Even under wholesale billing, we remove, if I go to accountant settings, then we'll get back to work and then we'll dive into a client file again. But this billing in sub-tab, under wholesale billing, we remove it from even the master admin's view, like your client's view. It's gone as a tab because you're managing the billing from the Your Account tab. So it's important to know, I mean, there's no reason for you to be the master admin of a client file under any circumstance. Can I think that? Unless they're just not going to have access to it, then you will be, right? You're never going to invite them, but you send them reports because there's a way to set up auto send of reports, you know? I can show you that too. So I get that. That's a good scenario. All right, work. This is where I go ahead and I assign projects or tasks to my staff and to the clients. And I do file share requests. So there's two features of work: projects, client requests. Create project, client request. Client request is a file share, right? But I have these kind of things on here that I still need to come in, either cancel them or mark them done. So we're basically tracking this type of status: to do, in progress, blocked, done, canceled, right? And I'm tracking who has it. So WA is me, WA, KM is Kim Montoya, this is Ray. And creating a project is super simple. You click Create Project, and you put in the name. You choose what client you want it for, right? This could be for the Everson Estate. It's going to be due, you know, on the 31st, and it's assigned to, like, KD. Put in the details. We have Slack integration if you guys are using Slack. So this will push a reminder to KD in her Slack view, because there's not really a lot of alerts yet. I think that's probably coming one day, but there's not a lot of alerting within the staff, like email alerts or stuff like that. Your clients get alerts, particularly with the file share, but I would say specifically with the file share. But we're going to have more and more alerts, I'm sure, for staff. But right now it's on the work dashboard and then in Slack, if you have Slack hooked up or connected. So that's something. We use it internally for work. It's great. It's a fantastic app. It, you know, blows away many other instant message things, you know. You can share pictures, videos, stuff like that. So it's just a message screen, you know. Some of you might be using it. But Slack does integrate now with QBOA. It doesn't push anything back from Slack into QBOA. It really just pushes out from the Work tab into Slack. Hey, Woody, you got to call out in this client. Hey, Woody, you have this bank rec today and this meeting today, et cetera. So now within the project itself, we'll just say it's like, you know, monthly, you know, financials, whatever you want to call it. You can make it repetitive, so it recurs based on these intervals, or not. You can even have subtasks. So if it's a larger project, but within the project there's tasks assigned to different staff, you know, with a different due date. So there's that as well. And then you put in the details, and it's really just any staff that has the client on their list, they would see this, and it's assigned to them, they would see it. Even if it's not assigned to them, they would see it, as long as they have access to that particular client in the QBOA list, then they would see the projects or file share requests for them. So I'm going to not save, but that's how you create a project and a task. And you can bring in QuickBooks stuff if you want. I typically turn it off because it's most around payroll and bank feeds. So I typically turn off the QuickBooks feed just because it makes it super busy. So I just want to see stuff that I've created or my staff has. But like a staff can come in, like Ray can come into work and just go filter for me, and she'd see only the stuff I assigned to her or she's created. And there's also a list view. So let's go over that too. There's a list view, you know, where I can see, hey, I want to see what's in progress and to do over the next 30 days, you know. I don't know, it's like a list report, right? You can do it that way. But look what we're tracking. Due date, client name, name of the actual project or task, status, who it's assigned to, the type it is. Because it's not just about project, it's also about, my favorite feature of it would be the client request. Now this I like need, you know, bank statement, because it's harder and harder to log into the client's bank to get like the check pictures so I can see who the payee actually was, because in the bank feed it never shows a payee on a check. It's always just like amount, date, that's about it. Maybe a memo. So I can choose the client who I'm in, so we'll see how, you know, and say, you know, please send this so I can do the reconcile successfully, but I'll leave it out. I don't want to be mean. You can even add a document if you want to send something back to them. Now, they can't open it up. You're opening up the window to send them a request. Once it's open, every month they can go and upload the statement to me, And they notify a client. It's just an email. I'm not going to, but typically it goes to the master admin on the file, right? So I'm going to publish the client's QuickBooks. This is literally a file share request, right? So let's go back. And they will receive these requests to their email, which will drive them in. And then let me answer Brad's question. Hang in there. I appreciate your patience. The My Accountant tab. Okay. These are where the requests come in. So I have this bank statement. So then Clay can come in and he can click Add Document. And he can browse out and upload stuff, whatever it would be. I don't know if I have anything really. Yeah, I got a picture of Abby or something. Anyway. The statement, the spreadsheet, the PDF, we scan it for viruses. I've had even people tell me they upload the QBM, the portable file or something, right? And it just goes back to this is how the client is communicating with you, QBO back to QBOA, or QBOA to QBO back to QBOA from the My Accountant tab. If you already have your own file transfer platform, then you just wouldn't use the My Accountant tab. But it's built in QBO for the client, so it's super easy. And the email that that Clay gets, drives them here anyway. So let's refresh this window while I answer Brad's question. We'll go look at what I just sent. All right, is there a way to get payroll notifications turned off as an accountant user? Yes. So let's talk about that real quick. And it's a quick tangent, so hang tight because I'm sure all of you are doing this. How do you not get payroll notifications from all my clients? It's driving me insane. Go into the client file, gear icon, payroll settings. Whether it's QBOP or FSP, it shouldn't matter. This is how I do it so I don't get them. I got to refresh the window sometimes. Let's see. So payroll settings, I always have QBOP turned on in this file. And it's going to open up here soon, hopefully. There we go. So specifically, Brad, under emails, preferences, emails, okay? So here's how I do it. The accountant user has to be on one of them, one of these 7 notifications. So, the default I think is a lot to both, so that's probably why you're getting them. But you only have to be on one of them. Now your client needs to be on whatever one. I mean, I can have set to no one, but I only leave the client typically for payday notifications, tax payment notifications, and forms, right? Because I want them to know that. And maybe you want to be on forms too. I mean, pick one. But what I do is I put it on accountant user because I have to have an accountant user on one of the 7. I put it on setup notifications. Why? Because I've already set it up. So what? I'll never get another notification, right? So I don't get any more email notifications for payroll. Try that. Let me know how it works, right? Woody_Adams @intuit.com. Just, cuts down your email. But you got to be on one, so do setup because you've already set it up, so you don't have to set up again, so you'll no longer get a notification for that. And then I do like to leave the clients on the important ones. I don't know. I think that's critical. But it's up to you guys. I mean, it depends. So I'm going to do requests. And then here's the bank statement. Right now, there's no notification yet that it was uploaded to me outside of the little icon, paperclip icon, or they sent me a message or something, right? But then here's my, picture, whatever, bank statement, okay? Now, where is it kept? You already saw that in the client dashboard. Clicking on the name. We're about to go into a client, don't worry. Shared documents, all right? And this is where all the shared documents will remain. If you delete a client permanently, the documents will no longer be there. Okay? So, cool. Well, I think that's QBOA. I mean, again, ProAdvisor, apps is apps, like the third-party apps. But we'll tackle that another day. And then please don't use the YourBooks file until you're really going to use it, right? It's imperative to me because the customer list is a mirror image of the client's list. So don't import anything in here just to play around, right? Use the sample file. Okay. All right. But if you do ever get duplicate clients under the gear icon, you can always merge duplicates. So that's one too. And then here's your account where you go and deal with your wholesale billing and credit card and all that stuff. Remember, when it's under wholesale, you handle all the payroll, all the upgrade, downgrades for the QBO subscription for your client. Client has no access to billing and subscription stuff. It's important. That's why you don't ever need to be the master admin. There's no point, except for that one scenario we were talking about. Your client's never going to access the file. All right, enough about me. Let's dive into this file, which I typically use for all my demos. I probably need a new one day. But we are going to go through navigation tips, dive into these accountant tools and settings. Let's go over that too, probably before reporting. Although I like to use reporting as an example for navigation, so we kind of get a couple birds here. Sorry if you're a bird fan, but with one stone. Then bank feeds automation, we usually end there, but I'm adding mobile app and ProConnect Tax Online integration. I think that's all super key, and I'm going to get my mobile app ready, because if you like QBOA, if you like QBO in general, like you get it because of the no file transfer and the collaboration, but maybe your clients aren't that excited about it. So that's when you want to talk to them about the phone app. So we will go through the mobile app and what's there. I think we'll do that at the end in case people want to jump or you have to leave for something else. Totally get it. So navigation, really 3 points of access in QBO. I'm not going to go super deep on it because I think it's fairly obvious. Banking would be bank feeds, right? Sales expense. You guys already know this stuff. Workers is going to be payroll and contractors, reporting, taxes. Accounting, I do like to click on that tab because that's the chart of accounts and reconciliation. And then we've already been through my accountant. Still not sure why print checks is there. Anyway, left-hand panel, right? There it is. And then up here, I do like left-clicking into the search field because it always shows the last, I would say, 10 transactions that have been added, edited, or modified in QBO. And then you can also find reports this way. It's a great way to do it. Like I can start typing for transaction detail by account or something, or a customized report or something like that, or type profit and loss. Someone asked me yesterday, hey, can you do a shortcut up in your icon bar for reporting? I said yes, though I'm against that, because when I go into my next client's file, though the report will have the next client's file data, the file name on the report is the company file I just left. So like I only put lists and transactions up in the top icon bar. And you're like, well, how did you create a top icon bar? Because that's relatable to desktop, right? We customize these top icon bars in desktop. So how you do that is today, maybe the most important thing you do is go create a separate Chrome user for QBO work. You're probably using the one Chrome user you think you got, unless you already know Chrome better than me, and most people do. But Chrome has the ability to add more people. This has nothing to do with QBO. It's just an indirect benefit or advantage of using Chrome. It allows me to add a person. You know, you don't need the desktop shortcut. Call it QBO work. You know, you don't need a shortcut on your desktop. But it just allows me that when I'm come in the morning, right, I use this Chrome for all work-related stuff. Oh, and here's our, don't worry, I'm getting back to reporting. This tangent's necessary. QBOBestPractices.com. A lot of cool videos of what I'm showing, shorter videos, right? But I use Chrome for a bunch of stuff, and I have a lot of different favorites. I'm not going to use QBO for this because you know what I mean? What if I want to be one click away? So I created this extra Chrome user. I have several because I do a lot of testing, but you only probably need one, maybe two, right? So that then I just come into QBOA here. It also lets me be in multiple company files with the same login. Right. So I suggest creating a couple, 3 Chrome users so that you can, you know, and I'm going to duplicate the tab. This is how I get multiple windows. So we'll come back to reporting in a sec. Duplicate the tab. This is now my open window list. It's up top, but still, I mean, and there's not going to be an actual open window list column. I would love that. But it's still as close as you're going to get to open windows in desktop, right? You just have tab browsing. You're going to have a bunch of tabs open. It works with transactions, lists, even reports. But when I go to click on check register, it's going to bring me to the check register, no matter what file I'm in. Or I click on chart of accounts, it'll bring me to, you know, this chart of accounts, right? Or settings brings me to settings, you know. So I'm going to right click, duplicate another window too, because we'll come back to settings. All right, question from Tal. Can you set up a monthly repeat for bank statement requests from clients? There's no way to set up a monthly request, but wait a minute, indirectly, yes. You don't have to is what I'm saying. When you create, Tal, the first one, that request in the My Accountant tab, let's go back as the client, right? My Accountant. Just leave it open, never close it, you know? So what I'm going to have Clay do is every month he's going to click on this one from August 24th. So on December 24th, well, he probably won't be working that day, but January 24th, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to click in here, and he's just going to click Add Document. Because I've opened up the window, he's just going to send me stuff, right? And I'm just going to say, hey, Clay, use this request for sending me bank statements monthly. Now, he just has to remember to do it, you know. I get what you're saying. It would be cool if there was some kind of ping or alert. They cannot upload without a request. You got to open the door. Good questions, though. Good. All right, we'll come back to settings later. So, multiple windows. Works for transactions as well. Right-click, journal entry, open a new tab. I can even do this. Let's say I'm going to go pay some sales tax or something. Left-click, drag it up. And when you see the arrow pop, it'll create another. So now I have like 5 tabs open, you know. But I like it for reporting. If I have like, and I know it's amount and balance, so on a detail reports you have a lot more customization and columns you can add and take away and stuff like that. Reorder the columns, things like that. Summary reports, less customization. It's more about comparative periods, you know, filtering by account. But I want class location off, I want memo off, and I really just want, I don't need the split, I just want, instead of amount and balance, I want debit credit, right? And then you could save this, right, step off. So customization, and then I can save my customization. We'll call it transaction detail by account with today's date. And I can add it to a group. You can create a group on the fly or do a group. Now, the nice thing about groups is you can edit the group to set it a schedule to auto send. So I'll add it to for us, and I can share it with just firm only, right? So only me and Tal will see it, you know, or me and Mary Jo, like that, because we're part of the same QBOA. Or I can do all users, so whoever would have this access, you know, all users, you know, that would have the access to see a report like this. So you can share it with others or not, but I'm going to go ahead and save it, and it adds it to a group. Now, let me tie this off. We'll go look at a P&L and things like that. But I mean, you guys are probably doing so much with reporting already in QBO that's going to be beyond what I can show you anyway, right? You can train me on reporting. But one thing I will mention about the new report center is that I star all the reports across, you know, because you have all these buckets. Business review, which is like company financial, who owes you, sales and customers, all this stuff, right? But I don't like scrolling down and finding it. So I'll do that the first time, and like I'll see a report that I know I'm going to use a lot, like the recurring template list or maybe recent transactions that were entered. Sure, I'll star that. And starring that puts it up in the top section, right? So then I just kind of leave this all closed, and then they're all here, one click away. But don't put reports up here because of that issue I told you. But definitely for lists and transactions. Absolutely. And all I'm doing, like if I click COA, right, that's chart of accounts. So what did I do? Well, I created a Chrome user just for QBO only. It gave me a blank bookmarks bar that I'm showing. And that's all in the settings, the little gear icon, customize Chrome. And then I star it and call it what I want, put it on the bookmarks bar. I'm basically creating a favorite and putting it up here. And you can teach your clients how to do that too. I think it helps them find stuff because they're coming from desktop, right? It's a radical departure. So, you know, how can I make them one click away? And eventually everybody will get it. Yeah, left-hand panel, okay, plus sign is all the transactions. Not the only way to get to them, but, you know, one of the ways. Gear icon, we've already been in a couple times. That's your edit preferences, operational settings, right? And that's it. If it doesn't exist, it's probably because you don't have the settings set. So let's go there and then come back to reporting because I want to show the auto send. I probably won't bring up a profit and loss because you guys probably see those all the time. The last thing you want to see today, maybe. Key settings to consider from the accountant standpoint. Go to advanced, right? First month fiscal year, first month income tax year, accounting method. This setting doesn't really do anything. Maybe just for a couple tools. It doesn't mean that every report's going to open to cash. It doesn't change QBO to cash. Because Basis is only like in desktop at the reporting level. For QuickBooks, just period. So this doesn't really do anything. I usually just leave it to accrual. Unless like you use the working trial balance tool, then yeah, it'll default to what you have in here. That's kind of cool. Close books, right? This is the ability for a password, right? So you have that, and you're probably used to that from in desktop. So those are some key things to consider. The tax form entity type, chart of accounts. Do you want to show account numbers in the chart of accounts? Because you can enable them, but do you want to actually show them on reports or not? So you have that checkbox. And it's like 7 characters or 7 numbers. You can't really rearrange the chart of accounts much within QBO at this time, right? And I know reports inherit the order of the chart of accounts. So it's basically either alphabetical within each type, or if you turn account numbers on, it'll be by account number, numerically within each type. Okay, there's no diamond I can move it around and stuff like you can in desktop. So, and that's something we continually push up, because I think that flexibility is key for accountants. But those are settings to consider. Class tracking is a good one. Class and location. Location is 1 per transaction. Class you can have per line, right? Balance sheet by location, P&L by class or location. All that's viable. The automation. I forget who asked, but it was even before the webinar started. Pre-fill forms with previously entered content. That's going to be for all names, not just vendors. So consider that. But I still have friends that do that because it's just nice when you put in a vendor name, it comes in. But when I put in a customer name, it'll come in too, right? What was happened before. So I usually uncheck it. I leave them mostly all unchecked until the client proves me otherwise, because the credits are going to go to the next transaction in line. I might want more control for that. Yes, there's a way to automatically invoice unbilled activity, which is awesome, but I want more control over what goes to the invoice from the drawer. This is like a global setting. So any customer that has unbilled activity or delayed charges tagged to them, time, material, expense, anything, then weekly, QBO is going to create on Wednesday invoices for all customers for that. Now, that might be good for some clients, but for others, no. They need more control and what goes on which invoice. Then again, turn them off. But the automation's sweet. It's good to have automation, you know, because there's more automation in here than in desktop. And we'll look at a little bit of more automation too. But I usually leave them off until project tracking, but I can use sub-customers for doing job costing, time entry, you know, that kind of stuff. We go over some of these other things in the other webinars, so I won't really go into that, but there is in Plus some light job costing, pass-through time expense, two-sided items, marking things billable so you can invoice, profitability by job, all that's supported in QBO Plus. Thursday, tomorrow, I'm having the service-based webinar. We're going to go over all that. You know, how do you do a budget to actual by job, that kind of stuff. So feel free to attend. The link should be in the deck to register. All right, so we got tab browsing, we get the top icon bar, the Chrome user, right? We got that. There are some key tools to consider, and I know you guys already get reporting, but under the gear icon for the P&L and the balance sheet, the more summary financial reports, you can go down to report tools and you can set the default date range that I want to look at, you know, this year to date or, you know, and on accrual basis, right? So when I go to reports and I quickly dive into a P&L, it should inherit that. Not all reports will inherit that, but the P&L, balance sheet, a few other summary reports do. The rest do, like this month to date, I think, is the default for whatever reason. Right, and we went through the transaction detail report and how you can save and customize. Summary reports, it's mostly about period comparisons, right, and filtering, right? You can always go to customize to filter, by an account. Distribution account is P&L accounts, and target accounts. But I can even filter P&L by products and services. I can do profitability by item. That's pretty important as well to know. It's available. But summary reports, summary, detail reports are detail. Now I had a thought, sorry, it just escaped me. Other tools though, reclassify transactions. This allows me to not only give me an overview of what's going on in an account, because this will inherit the date range too, right? This year to date from report tools, but I can drill into like, you know, an income account and see the transactions that are available in that account. I guess there's not much there, but here, uncategorized expense, right? You can move a bunch of transactions over to the right account. I can reclassify them, or you can classify transactions at the class level. This will be for account-based transactions. It's a tool we've had in the desktop when you're accessing a file from QuickBooks Accountant Edition since 2009. We updated in 2010, but it's been in there. But it's been in QBO for a while when you're coming in from QBOA. So like that tool is nice. The working trial balance, and we'll go there to push over to ProConnect Tax Online. Quick way to get to reconcile. Right? Not the only way, but there's other tools here or links to get to other things. New window would duplicate the tab, right? But I just like right-clicking, duplicating the tab. That gives me my open window, meaning another window. All right, so those are key tools. We've gone through key settings. Reporting again, you guys got reporting down. If you have questions, ask. But I just wanted to make sure you know in reporting how to customize where you go, how you get them up top, and when you customize a report and save that, and you add it to a group, if this is viable in your state based on compliance laws, you can set up a schedule, like weekly. Woody's going to get every Friday these 3 reports. They're not encrypted, but I'm auto-sending. So again, we're getting into the automation part of the presentation now because that's important for accountants, right? So you saw the global setting for automatically creating invoices. Let's look at bank feeds and automation there, as well as recurring transactions and automation there. Okay, and then we'll do automatically sending the balances to ProConnect Tax Online. So 3 things. We got 10 minutes. I'll probably go 5 minutes over if that's okay. But there is more automation than in desktop. Yeah, management reports, good question. So anyways, you can set a schedule, you can auto-send reports. Mary Jo's asked about management reports. Yes, these are more like packages, so you can build a package from these templates we give you. Cover letter, table of contents, the reports you want to put in there, pre and post notes, and they can go to a docx or a PDF file. So Word doc or PDF, and you can email them. But she's asked, the management reports, does a client see these? They will. Yes, it's not just coming in from QBOA. There's only 2 reports you actually get that are separate from the level of QBO your client's using if you're accessing it from QBOA, and that's like an adjusting journal entry report and adjusted trial balance report. Other than that, your report-wise, you're restricted based on the reports your client has by their level, right? Plus has 100-plus reports. Essentials is like 80-ish. Simple Start's like 40-ish, right? And self-employed, again, it's like 3 reports. Okay. So, good question, though. Thank you for that. All right. We've talked about reporting. We've talked about some other things, but what about getting the data in? So, I have an example on automation I am going to show, but here we have the bank feeds. And this is really the backbone feature of QuickBooks Online. I think that this is, other than talking about mobility on the phone, other than talking about collaboration with you and me, your client, or with the staff, and else being on the latest technology, this is really would be then number 3 or even number 1, depending on how you're looking at it, as to why QuickBooks Online. Because it's a way to automate the data entry because of the bank rules. So you'll notice we're going to work on the credit card, Amex, right? But I got a checking account or debit card use, right? And I got an Amex. Already QBO recognizes 10 and turns them green because there are, when it came in from Walmart, and I think these came in from HubDoc, or it could come in from my phone when I took a picture when I was at Walmart for the expense, and it came in with the attachment, but someone else already, but the bank feed then came in 2 or 3 days later, right? The credit card feed, 3 days. Yeah, 3 days later. So it's matching it. Why? Because it's already in the register from the phone or the third-party app I was using, or, Ray went in and entered it into the register. Though I keep telling her to wait on the feed. What is the urgency? Calm it down. Just wait for the feed to come in and add it from here. Way less duplication stuff, way less matching. But I'm glad that there is an option to match so that the expense isn't duplicated. So the 2 actions in bank feeds is either add or match. Match being there's already an expense there. I don't want to duplicate the $20, right? Or add. Most of my stuff is going to be add. But we turn things green when we recognize it, either from before, QBO remembers, or I've created a rule. Like I already created this rule for County of Bayshore, right? It goes to utilities account, 6790 account. Anytime, rule name, Bayshore Water, money out, for any of the following conditions, when the bank text, which is typically like, comes in as a payee, says Bayshore, or the description says Bayshore Water. You could even do something for like amount is greater than or less than, because you can have multiple rules per vendor if you want. Like from Amazon. I know this file has 2 Amazon rules based on if it's over 500 bucks or less, right? So it's either going to COGS or it's going to another current asset, R&D. Anyway, when you create the rule and the conditions, and I will mention that the criteria, all versus any, is super critical. This is like, to me, the main thing that can make a rule awesome or garbage. All is going to be really exclusive, right? So like it has to meet the following 2 criteria or we're not going to do anything. Any is really opening it up to anything that it picks, anything bayshore or bayshore water, right? So I think you can get really creative with rules, but pay attention to this when a transaction meets any or all the conditions. So there's scenarios when it should be all. You're making it super exclusive just for this, this, and this, and then it's going to create this. Any would be more open. It's going to create a transaction, so it's a credit card transaction, or credit card charge, if you will. Payee category, and you can do a default class or location, and a memo. Now, automatically add to my books. So I have this scenario, because that's not default turned on, where I have a rule, and it's one of the rules I have is for gas. I don't really review gas. It's just gas expense, any gas station. So I have this box checked automatically out of my books. So once any of these apply, it's going to create this transaction, but I don't have to add it to the register. It's just going to put it in there already. So it's going to totally bypass the For Review tab. So I have a scenario here. Pretend this happened at night. I created because you can upload stuff into the bank feed window too from Excel, and there's a few other file types. I have this bank feed CSV. I'm just going to show you. Don't worry, we'll get to the mobile app PTO integration real quick. If you got just another 10 minutes, that's all I ask. But if you have to go, by all means, right? There's a recording, or just reach out to me. I'll make sure you get the deck or something. From 821 gas station 2020, right? So I went to like a FastMart or whatever, but I have like Shell, Walmart, FastMart. These are typically the 3 gas stations that I hit on the way to work, whether I'm close to my house or close into it. And so pretend it's work related, $20.20. So why I created this is I'm pretending that this happened last night, like it came in through the feed, from the credit card. So I'm going to upload the file. Because of that rule I have, I should not see it. Hold on. Before I do that, let me back up. I should not see it hit. There shouldn't be a 59 here when I upload it. Why? Because I checked off the box to have it automatically added to the register after the rules applied. So it should skip this and automatically put it in the register. So now we're talking automation and data entry. And if it doesn't happen, it's because of user error, because I'll succumb to that often, believe me. All right, so I have this file, right? And this is also a good thing to see, because you might have a smallish type credit union that just doesn't have a direct feed, or you're having way too many hassles with the direct feed for a larger bank or something. You just get a file through that file share or your own portal system from the client weekly or monthly and just upload the transactions in. It's a good way to get transactions in. And the automation really in QBO, beyond what I've showed you, and then recurring transactions, just so you know there's a way to automate, creating transactions just like there is in desktop, is really at the bank feed level. Batch entry automation is really at the bank feed level. So I'm going to choose the Amex, and then we're going to go next, choose the amount, right? And I have the transaction, 2020, but it's going to gas station as a description. Based on the rule, it should just bypass and go right into the register, See, I still have 58, but when I left-click in the search field, there it is. And when we go to the transaction, you have the little blue link breadcrumbs, online banking matches in the upper left. It's going to say automatically added with rule. So, that's the trend in the industry. How do we automate the data entry so you guys can just be in review mode? Okay. The other things that it'll work too, we're going to look at my phone, right? Hopefully you guys are seeing it, right? There's a phone app. This will excite your clients. If they're not excited about going online because of whatever, and you want better collaboration, this gives them the ability on the phone, because they already have a login, to enter these 6 types of transactions. And expense can be a picture, right? That's how I got that transaction in earlier, the 2020, right? It's a match. It came in from the feed. We're trying to mock that environment or create that to what could have happened tonight or last night, right, with the credit card feed. But I got the transaction. If it's a match, it's because I uploaded in from the phone. I was out at Walmart, took a picture. That's another way to do it, right? You can do an expense, and it has like a picture. So you can take pictures, of the receipt, right? And I think this was the receipt I took. Yeah, there it is. 2020, right? And then I can just start fingering in $20.20 and choose who did I pay? Was it a credit card? Was it a debit card? All this stuff that you can do. Make it billable, customer. I mean, all that stuff they can do at the expense level. Or a check or something like that. Just not a bill. There's no payable with the phone app. But this creates the transaction with the receipt attached. And it's free as long as they already have a login to QBO. They're just going into the same file using the app they download from their app store on the iPhone or whatever. You can use it on the iPad as well. So, I think that stuff's all important. And then the other stuff you can do, right? I can see the products and services, the items list. Show your client this. You're mobile, so here's what you can track just on your phone when you're away from the business. Customer vendor, GPS customer addresses. Banking is the bank feed. Chart of accounts, expense, invoice, etc. There's even a P&L and a balance sheet. I just want to add more features to this thing because I think mobility is the key. One of the three keys. Mobility, collaboration, automation of data entry, the bank feeds. That's my why for QBO, okay, because it's more automated than desktop. Another way to automate, too, is at the recurring transaction level. Right? You might call it memorized transactions in Pro or Premier. This is the automation here. But the nice thing is, you can have a recurring sales receipt and have QuickBooks payments turned on with a saved bank and routing number from your client for monthly dues and subscriptions. And that automates getting paid. Come to the automation webinar. I think we're doing that on the 30th of the month, and I'll go over that, too, with payments and the recurring sales receipt. Because you can do that out of the Your Books file, right? And you can just create a recurring sales receipt for every single client and have their bank and routing number, and they get the sales receipt, and then you are funded 5 days later, and it's totally free, right? It's just 5 days to fund. That would be the only rub. All right. Last tool, let's go into a different client file. Just to show, if you're into tax, and if you have to jump, I'm going to show the integration with ProConnect Tax Online. When you're in a client file from QBOA, you can send the balances automatically over, right, to the tax return. And that's automation too, because I'm not actually entering the data. So once you have everything cleaned up, you go into the trial balance tool of your client file. It's under the accountant briefcase. It's a working trial balance, right? You have the new ending balance, the unadjusted balance, the activity, but it's just a year at a time. This will be more impactful for me when I can do a month or a quarter, right? But if I'm just looking at tax year 17 in a few months or 6 months, whatever, I can still send the balances if you're doing tax. ProConnect Tax Online is a Lacert data engine diagnostic tool, but it's online, not hosted, literally a software as a service, just like QBO, but it's ProConnect Tax Online. And I'm integrated with it because I'm in the client file from QBOA. So I have PTO as well, ProConnect Tax Online. And I click on View Tax Return, and I'm going to do an existing one, right? It's an 1120. I'm going to click Continue. I don't know how long it takes you to do an 1120. I don't know, hour and a half, 2 hours probably, that average. So I'm starting the return, adding company info, updating the balances. It literally brings me right into the return, and I'm right at the M1, M2 schedule, And yeah, there's a difference. So at least I know there's diagnostics, or I didn't fully clean up the file before I sent it over. But I'm proving my point. I'm in review mode, right? I'm on the check return tab. The balances came over. So I have the 1120 right here, right? And then you can always go back to input return. And I think you can even drill down on these to get to the input return window, right? But, ProConnect Tax Online has its own portal system called Intuit Link, really effective in getting documents from your clients. It will feed right into the return. We have a lot of tax professional clients. I think we're 120,000 plus, right? Firms use Intuit tax products. I'm not talking about TurboTax, right? That's more millions, but I'm talking about just like the professional tax accounting firms, right? Pro Series, Lacert, ProConnect Tax Online. So a lot of people move from Pro Series to PTO, or they try out from Lacert to PTO, getting adoption from both of the desktop tax apps that we've had forever, So this one's totally online, but again, that's automation as well, because why? I'm not actually entering any data. It just came over from QBO. So just wanted to show that as well as part of the automation. Went through some settings, navigation tips, tricks, bank feeds and automation, the mobile app, right, and then QBOA. So hopefully that was enough. It's 11:04. I promised you, by 5 past. So thanks for your time.